Hey, this is the Maximum PC No BS podcast, episode number 206, recorded on the week of July 1st, 2013. On the show today, AMD says no thank you to the mobile market. Xbox 180, Nvidia releases the GTX 760, and we'll probably get into it over the definition of a full tower versus a super tower. All that, plus your questions and our picks on today's episode of the Maximum PC No BS podcast. Hey everyone, thanks for listening so much. We have kind of a small crew today. We're actually on the tail end of finishing the magazine today, so just everyone else, the other people who are working on the magazine are gone, but we stuck away.
We're actually stuck here over the weekend. We had to eat the others.
Yeah. I'm joined today, my name is Josh, I'm your podcast host. I'm joined today by Associate Editor Tom McNamara.
Hey there.
And Deputy Editor Gordon Mah Ung.
Hello.
So Catherine, our editor, is actually approving the cover right now. This is for our September issue, so she's not here. Jimmy Thang is working on a Razor Blade review, which is NDA lifting tomorrow. Otherwise, and both our interns are out today, so they've got a pretty good life. And we just finished our issue of, we just finished Dream Machine, so we're all kind of sitting here. The Dream Machine's still here, it still boots, it still runs. It's sort of sitting, it's actually sitting in our work area under a like a tarp right now.
It's lying in wait.
Yeah. It's kind of like a SR-171. Been retired?
SR-71.
SR-71, my bad, military snafu. All right, so this week's show is going to be pretty cool. We have a couple of big topics to talk about. We have a lot of reader questions to get to. We haven't done a whole lot of prep work this time, and I haven't actually looked up any iTunes reviews because we just got back from the weekend. We jumped right into our sort of first day today. So I'm actually going to skip the part about reading the customer reviews on iTunes, so if you guys can forgive me. Let's just jump into our first topic. And this is a topic that we're all pretty familiar with because we all spent a lot of time considering it last week, which is I'm just titling it Xbox 180. The internet came up with that joke, it's not me. And this has actually been, this story's been amended today because the guy who's sort of part of this story, Don Matrick, just announced today he's leaving Microsoft as president of their interactive division to go be CEO of Zynga, which most people are like, that seems like a step down.
Isn't it Zynga?
I call it Zynga. How is it?
I don't care.
Yeah. So anyways, the big news, this will be, this is from a week and a half ago, but that's what you get when you have a bi-weekly podcast, is Microsoft, of course, took all its DRM out of its Xbox. Last time we sat down
I don't
here,
know if they took DRM out of it.
Well, what they did is they went from the 24-hour check-in to like a 30-day check-in. Every 30 days you need to log on to your Xbox to keep being allowed to use it.
right, they removed the 24-hour removal, or 24-hour check-in.
And then there's something else about rentals. I think they were softening their stance on that.
Yeah, I mean, the whole internet had a pretty good laugh at that because they were like, they were just raining down hatred on Microsoft for the last couple months, and then Microsoft obviously wasn't oblivious to that. But we thought, kind of like with Windows 8, they would kind of stick their feet in and go, this is what it is, this is awesome. This is how it is. This is, not really go, all right, our bad, and they surprised everyone, I think, by doing that, and it almost makes it worse in some ways.
I don't think it does.
I might have mentioned this in the last podcast, but I have a pet theory that Microsoft expected Sony to do a lot of DRM with this generation, and then when the opposite, Microsoft looked like they were sticking out like a sore thumb. And so they said, maybe they decide we need to create some feature parity here with Sony because we're not looking so great.
Yeah, Gordon made a mention in the office that it's because the only reason they did this was because they have direct and fierce competition from Sony, whereas in the OS space they don't have any real competition.
Right.
Which is why they're being such hard asses on Windows 8 start button and all that stuff.
I agree. I mean, what are we going to do? People who are buying low-cost PCs or PCs, they're not going to suddenly just jump ship. There's really nothing to jump ship for. Jump ship to that's affordable.
Oh, there's always Linux.
Well, for most people, most civilians, it's not an option, I think.
Yeah, there's not. Yeah, there's not really another option out there.
There's
Yeah.
Chromebook, I suppose. That's actually, it's hard to get a feeling of whether it's actually really having any success, but you know, I don't honestly see most people buying a Linux.
Yeah, it doesn't
or
come
Chromebook.
pre-installed on like 99% of the world's pre-built computers. You go to Dell, you go to HP, you go to Gateway, you'll get like Windows pre-installed in your computer, and that's a lot handier.
So do you think this is a long-term? I mean, obviously long-term, this is going to benefit Microsoft because they're more on an equal footing now with Sony. They're still $100 more expensive because they have the Kinect controller. And you know, I don't really like talking about consoles on here. I know this is a PC podcast, but our readers all have consoles. Seems like, or they're interested in it because it involves Microsoft.
They're also PCs at this point.
Yeah, so I mean, it's semi-related. I'm not that big on consoles, but I mean, but watching this whole thing, sort of play out has been pretty interesting from the sidelines.
And we're able to do it from a safe distance. Like we have no investment in this.
Yeah.
We just get to make fun of them.
Right.
I think, but you know, I think reversing their position, I think, was the smart thing to do, and I also think it's fine. And as much as people like to pile on Microsoft, you know, I think the best example is Netflix, right? I mean, Netflix, market leader. Everybody's like, "Oh my God, you want to get rid of DVDs? You know, we hate you now, Netflix. You're no longer my best friend." People don't even remember that whole thing anymore.
Yeah,
Their stock is at like $9 million.
I certainly don't want to see Microsoft do poorly in this space because the good competition between them and Sony and Nintendo is good for the consumer, the end customer. Better features, better prices, better games.
Well, I think I still predict they're going to actually end up winning between all
Microsoft?
three of these. Yes, the console that ends up winning, that will be the better platform, will be the Xbox.
Sorry, I don't mess with the soundboard. Yeah, we'll have to wait and see. Microsoft is losing a lot of key people, and there's rumors. This is not an official news story we're talking about, but there's rumors that, or not even rumors, but pretty clear rumors that Steve Ballmer is apparently organizing this big restructuring of the company, and that's going to involve layoffs and divisions, you know, being shit canned.
Matrix departure might actually be part of that.
Yeah, so as part of it could be that. You know, it's weird too because there's these type of CEOs of a major multi-billion-dollar company require long. You can't just jump over there like, oh hey, yeah, all right, cool, I'm in. You know, like these require a lot of talking, offers, legal people. I mean,
companies that size.
And he just had that major faux pas at E3. That was like what 3 weeks ago, where he said, we do have a product for people who are online. It's called Xbox 360. That's his thing.
Maybe he snarked because he was already on his way out. He was like, I don't care what they think.
Yeah, the timing of this is really interesting. It's like he could have gotten a hint from Ballmer that he's already out and just said like screw it, or I mean it's really interesting.
Or they showed him the door after being so callous. I mean it doesn't seem like a good thing to tell your customers to go buy your old product, which they're not going to do.
He was he had that interview with Angry Gamer guy too, where he said the guy goes, it must be pretty easy to remove that 24 hour check-in commitment, and he grabs the microphone from him. He goes, are you on the development team? And he goes, no. And he was like, well, then I think it's pretty arrogant of you to say that it's a simple fix. And he was just like, well, it seems like it would be. And he was like, yeah, but you're not the one he's like, all right, fair enough. And then sure enough, literally, 4 days later, Microsoft's like, gone, boof.
It turns out it was actually easy. He said, all right, that guy, I'm going to go check. Oh, damn, you just got to change this radio box? 24, 30 days. Okay, done.
They still might need time to actually implement it. They can make a call in like a matter of like an hour. But it might take
No, I'm just saying maybe they just set that like right there and just like, oh, this is easy, like a remote. Oh, and actually it's probably linked to a Kinect. They do all the development for Xbox.
Just with the hand gestures.
With
and
the
voice
Kinect.
activation. Yes. Create level.
Yeah.
That's Angry Joe. Sorry for the I said Angry Gamer.
Is he really angry?
I'm just trying to find the clip where he asked him about that. I found the whole thing here, but it's the entire interview. So.
Insert explosion. I could go on.
Go ahead.
No, I'm just riffing here. I don't think anybody was paying attention anymore.
All right, no one's paying attention. So let's move on to AMD story. AMD's been in they've been in the news lately, but in a lot of different ways that people haven't really expected. They haven't released any new GPUs in a while, and we're not sure if they're going to or not. Last I heard was they're going to be launching in Q4 this year. They're going to ride out the rest of the summertime, and Nvidia appears to be doing the same.
Yeah.
So, and they anyways, go ahead, Tom. Take it away.
Well, our own Paul Lilly picked up this story that was originally reported in golfnews.com. It's an interview with one of the AMD bigwigs. This is golf as in Persian Gulf, apparently, as opposed to the Gulf of Mexico. So, I don't know if that matters. And the guy over at AMD was saying, yeah, we're not really looking at getting into making smartphone chipsets at all. We're just going to stick to putting our chips in tablets and desktops. And well, what he said was, we really want to play to our strength in microprocessors, design, and graphic capability. Gaming is a major focus for AMD. We're looking for areas to differentiate, and gaming is a place where we can differentiate. So, and then there was another story saying that they were talking about getting into tablets and whatnot. So there was some initial confusion, but what they were talking about, what they're apparently excluding today is the smartphone.
I think I think what happened is somebody said something and then somebody threw the truck into reverse. Beep, beep.
Well, the second article we saw didn't exclude smartphones. It was just talking about tablets.
Well, what it really is saying is they basically AMD. This is a story from CIO Today. Chipmaker AMD said Wednesday it would no longer be focused exclusively on producing chips for Windows, PCs, and tablets, and is open to making processors designed for other platforms,
Including Android. Yeah.
including Android. So to me, what that says is, we do actually have to make chips for Android phones and tablets. I mean, there's really no difference, right, between ARM. They have an ARM license. They've had an ARM license. So I honestly think AMD's reverse position, or something came out badly lost in translation.
Well, I wouldn't be surprised if they didn't go into it, because going head to head against, say, Intel in another category, they might just be spreading themselves too thinly, because Intel has like literally 10 times the number of employees, 10 times the annual revenue.
Yeah, but you're talking about AMD saying they don't want to get into. I mean, phones. They're not going up against Intel. Intel's like nobody in phones. They're going up against everybody else. They're going up against TI and Qualcomm and Samsung, right?
Well, I'm thinking about Intel like 6 to 12 months from now. I think they're going to be in a number of mobile phones.
I think we all hope that x86 goes somewhere. I certainly do in tablets, but I think that's very wishful thinking to think that it's gonna. If you honestly believe that the world will flip over in 6 months, that's just.
Well, I would
and that
describe
ain't
it
gonna happen.
as an optimism, but I think that's what's going to happen in 6 to 12 months. We'll see a few Intel phones. I don't know how well they're going to do in the market. But,
Sorry, I coughed. Not going to happen.
Yeah, everyone has to be. There's no way AMD can let the mobile market just go away. There's no way.
Well, I don't know. I mean, because
they're already in consoles. They're already making GPUs.
they're already in consoles. They're in GPUs. But I mean, honestly, why would I don't know. I think
they already have their fingers in a lot of pies right now.
But the pressure the pressure has been on AMD for the last 2 to 3 years from shareholders is like, where is your mobile part? Where is your mobile part? Where's your mobile part? The same pressure has been on Intel. Same thing. I mean, I've been at multiple press conferences with Intel. They'll talk about, by the way, our new CPU will be made of gold. You'll be getting a solid brick of gold with the new CPU. The first question is, where's your mobile chip? Where is your phone chip? Where's your phone chip? Where's your phone chip? That's the only thing people care about. The analysts, anyway.
How come Intel and AMD with all this? I mean, it's so real weird that how ARM is just like dominating this industry.
Why?
Because AMD and Intel have sort of been the only game in town in our world for such a long since the beginning of time.
Well, it's phones are, nobody expected the explosion of the smartphone market and how fast phones have developed, right?
Yeah, and as we've seen in the past, Intel can be taken by surprise, as AMD took them by surprise with the F-164 sometime, and it took Intel several years to counter with the Core 2.
And then, there's so many different things they have to coordinate because, I mean, I think, they've been waiting for Microsoft has been waiting for Intel. At one point, Apple was waiting for Intel. I mean, there's just all these different reports. And then at the same time, does Intel really want to get into a business where they're selling a CPU for $20?
Yeah,
that's like your high-end CPU is $20.
Yeah, but you look at look at the numbers of people snatching up these phones. I'm sure it's staggering.
Yeah, there are, but at the same time, will tablet growth continue the same as it has been?
Tablets, we're not so sure. It's kind of like at first we sort of had this explosion of 10, and then now we're in 7, and the pricing is all been changing. Now it seems like it's stagnating a little bit. 'Cause it's kind of like now we have the form factor decided at this point. So what else can we do from now on? Make it thinner? Like not really, because you're gonna
power, right? They want I want more power. I want more capability.
Yeah, that
Intel-
that sort of comes down to. I mean, but what is what's missing from that? Like, is it an app someone hasn't made yet? Is it some sort of piece of hardware inside of it that hasn't happened occurred yet?
No, I mean people want. I mean, come on, go back to the classic iPad 1. Useless. Like it's a doorstop at this point, right? You can't even run the current OS on it.
It's not useless, but it's.
I've never used it, but I have heard from people with the original iPad that say the damn thing is useless with the latest OS on it. It's so slow, you can't use it. They want more power, you want more cores, you want more graphics, you want more better screen.
Yeah, I think what people are waiting for is like the $100 tablet that operates as smooth as butter.
I don't know, but the question is, we know tablets. Who knows how long people can get tablets, but also at the same time, are people going to get a little tired of phones, upgrading their phones every year and a half? When's that gonna?
I think there will be this snap in the addiction. People will just realize.
Right. Basically, phones their evolution is highly accelerated. Right. We've gone from crappy monochrome Treos 5 years ago to what we have today. In 2 years, people will be like, I've got an 8-core. 2 gigahertz, whatever chip in my phone. Do I really need to buy another stupid phone?
We're hitting diminishing returns, I think.
But also a lot of the thing about phones is the carriers that they're driving in, right? Because they're like, oh, hey, you buy the new phone, we'll sell you the $650 phone, not really relying. We'll sell you the $600 phone for $200. You sign a 2-year contract. Oh, it's like, oh yeah, it's totally worth it.
My mom's looking for a phone right now. She lives in the part of the town, in part of the world where there's in California there's no reception from anyone at all.
Nobody?
She's constantly yelling at me about it too.
She should get a satellite phone.
She could do a network. Well, it's just in her home or out and about.
Isn't it interesting though? It's interesting that AMD, everyone in our universe of hardcore PC performance is like, yeah, AMD's on the ropes, boy, Nvidia for the win or whatever. Like Nvidia is just like Titan and 6 series, like just kind of dominating, and suddenly these next gen consoles come around, AMD snatches up all of them. It's like, what? It's not totally surprising because their APUs are just different than what Nvidia offers compared to Tegra.
Yeah,
anyways, it's just kind of this. I'm sure. It's interesting that they were able to get every single next gen console design win. That's pretty amazing.
Yeah, it does make you wonder. Like, did the console makers? Did they say, we really can't afford to continue to go our own way with these little wacky little architectures. We need x86. There's only one customer you can get x86 and graphics from. That's good enough because Intel's not there with graphics yet. But
right, graphics. I wonder what Nvidia offered to them. Nobody knows. There's been a bunch of articles I read online that are like the real reason why AMD won these contracts. No one knows. Obviously,
that'd be nice to know.
Yeah. Maybe Nvidia just didn't have the CPU horsepower, or Intel didn't want to play.
Well, they don't have x86. They don't have x86 licenses, so they
PC's
can't.
out of the picture.
So they'd have to have either a license from Intel or these guys would buy some. It's just they're kind of in a tough spot there with the x86. They have ARM, but
right.
People want more, I guess, for those game consoles. Yeah. But at the same time, does it even matter? Is that someplace you really want to be? I don't know.
Yeah.
Well, AMD. If you recall, though, wait a second. If you recall from from January of this year until probably June of last year, every story we did on AMD was stock falling, people resigning, selling off their campus in Austin. Like it was just a drumbeat of negativity. Yeah. Every single story was horrible, and then no new cards were coming out. 600 series was kicking the shit out of them. Like it was bad. And then now, and as of this year, it's been like, yeah, kind of turning it around.
I predicted this, by the way.
They released that video. Oh, we should play that video. Speaking of AMD, I'm gonna play this video that AMD has got. Not only are they kind of turning things around a little bit, they're sort of like getting kind of ballsy, and they released this video last week that was like a hit piece on Nvidia, basically. Let me see if I can find it. I think it's called Level Up or something like that.
Yeah, but but again, we talked about this on the podcast some months ago, right? Because I was saying people are always like, oh my God, this is the final end for AMD, right? It's like, well, you know what? When the hell has it not been bad news final end for AMD, right? There was like a shining 2.5, 3 year period where they were kicking Intel's butt, but the rest of the time, AMD's back is always against the wall. So
I guess they're just more flexible because they're a smaller company. They have less overhead.
That's how they work. They're the underdog. They're the John McClane of CPUs. What do you expect?
Did you guys see the new Die Hard?
No, I've heard it's not that great.
It's sad because all the diehards are all good in their own way. I think I love I love all of them. And I tried watching number 5 and I just couldn't even watch it. It was that bad.
That's too bad. I'll probably still try and see it because I love the character.
He's getting a little bit old.
Yeah, he shaved his head so he can get away with it. It sort of extends the life of the character. It worked for Patrick Stewart.
Did you find it yet? You could describe the video. So the video is.
Hold on, I'm getting it's better with the audio here.
Yeah, people, come on. There's people that listen to the podcast. They can't just watch it.
I know, but there is some. God, why can't I never? When you're
all right, we can just explain it. He's a gamer. He's playing games.
And of course, I typed in AMD commercial never settle into my thing, and it's not even coming up at all.
I think he has only the power.
So then a guy shows up. He trades him an ATI card. They take the, not marked, but clearly an Nvidia card out of the system. He takes it outside, and he starts smashing it into the ground with a sledgehammer.
I found it. It's called The Fixer.
We should put a link in the podcast.
Yeah, that might be it. Yeah.
We are. Hold on a second. Let me.
Yeah, it's totally visual. Josh is.
I know, but there's some funny audio in here. Hold on. Where's the?
Now and Woods gets up to make his putt. And,
where the hell is the audio?
Whisper into the mic because somehow Tiger Woods has bionic hearing. He might hear him talk about his putt.
I don't get it. There's no.
What
audio.
if you actually were
right
at a golf game on your phone? Did they kick you out?
All right. Can you guys hear me? All right. This is called AMD Gradient Graphics presents The Fixer. Let's see if we can hear this here. All right. So guy arrives home. He's pulling out his GPU and putting it in his computer. This is this case opening.
21st century.
He's getting started. He's getting started gaming. Tapping his keyboard, looking pissed. It's not working. He's pissed. Guy shows up.
I'm calling the police. That's what I would say.
Stranger in your home offering you a video card? Sure, why not? Oh, zing! I think I've had conversations like that.
Hold on, I'm rewinding you. This is all the smack talk. I want to hear. Make sure the people hear this.
Supposed to be. That sounds natural.
That's pretty. That is talking some shit right there.
They come off very natural.
He gives him a 7970. What do I give you? He says. Yeah, so he so he gives him his old GPU, and they walk outside, and they basically just start getting ready to destroy it.
What's the card? He's going to destroy it.
It's a GTX reference design, so it could be a 670
or that's the implication. The card is actually pixelated, so that they, I guess, don't get sued or something.
The best part is he starts attacking this card with a sledgehammer, a samurai sword, blah 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 blah. And then I'm just going to fast forward to the part where he pulls out this other weapon here. I skipped a little bit too far ahead, but yeah, he says, settle down, and he says, I never settle, so that's probably the button. Anyways, most people said it was a stupid commercial and they hated it. But, I mean, at least it shows AMD's, like they got a little bit of a wind in their sails right now. They can take some shots.
Yeah, no, it's nice, isn't it?
Oh, the very end of the
Good.
commercial. So it actually says he says, "I never settle," and he attacks the car with a chainsaw, and then it fades out to black and it says, "Never settle bundle, eight different games, blah blah blah," and then it fades back to the scene, and we see the guy in the movie looking out at his front lawn, and the guy who was just there kicking the shit out of his video card is cleaning up the mess with the leaf blower.
Nice.
Right. And I asked our intern Chris about that, if he knew what that meant, and he goes, he's cleaning up the mess. And I go, he's using a leaf blower. And he goes, oh, yeah, I know. And I go, do you know what that is a reference to? And he said, no, I don't know what you're talking about.
Kids these days.
So
I
for
respect.
those who don't know, that was the I think it was the GeForce, is the FX 5700?
I think so.
GeForce, yeah, Nvidia released this card way back in the day. I was here when it happened, and it was just like, it was the loudest card ever released
Use one of those turbine.
in the history of GPUs.
FX 5800. I still have one on my desk.
5800.
As soon as you booted a game up, you could tell.
Yeah, it's kind of like, and actually Nvidia made a, we should play that commercial. That's a funny commercial.
Oh,
and so
boy.
Nvidia did the same thing that Microsoft just did with the Xbox, which is they kind of go, instead of just sticking in their heels and going la 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 la, everything's fine, they were like, okay, there's a problem. We made a mistake. We're very sorry. This and that.
You said an 8-game bundle?
Whatever the Never Settle bundle is currently.
It was like, that sounds like more than I thought there was.
I don't know. All right, here we go. This is the Nvidia. Where's your plug, Gordon? All right, Gordon's going to play the Nvidia. This is the video that Nvidia released in response to the outcry over how goddamn loud this GTX 5800 video card was. It was extremely.
2002.
You'll hear it in here.
We need to put links to both these.
Yeah, we'll fix that. For those of you who are listening, we'll have links in the show description. Wait, Gordon, can you rewind it to the beginning?
It's just shot
This
of
is
Nvidia
the
headquarters.
corporate meeting of it at Nvidia. It's really. How loud? You're not going to see that on the camera, Gordon. So they're showing a dentist drill.
That's not actually the video card that you're hearing.
Terrible sound.
Close though.
So now they're using the video card as a hair dryer. Now they're grinding coffee with it. So now it's a leaf blower. That's a phrase you don't hear very often anymore. Now they're using it as a barbecue. They're cooking chicken on top of the GPUs.
Because there's also a hot video card, right?
What is the gift
Yeah.
card? Infinite possibilities.
So now the guy's trying to game at his desk and his papers are flying all over the place. It's just everyone's. This is a montage of all the different noises. That's pretty funny. Good old days. See, that was the GPU wars back then. That was 02, right? So now that AMD's maybe we're back. Maybe the GPU wars are back. All right. Well, let's move on to our next topic then. All right. So we have now on the next topic here, the GTX 760. So this was when last time we recorded our last podcast, we were testing the new card from Nvidia. Now it's been launched. Reviews are up, benchmarks are up, and it's probably the least exciting launch we've had from Nvidia this year. It's not a bad card, But we've had so they launched a GTX 780, which is GK 110 Titan based card. Then they launched GTX 770, which is essentially a GTX 680 at $100 cheaper. Now they launched GTX 760 at $250. It's equivalent of a GTX 660 Ti or a 670. It's really, really close. Really close. Uses the same GK 104 GPU.
How's it in price?
It's priced at $250. So basically, the launch, the GTX 770, that launch was about basically taking the concept. There was GTX 680, which is a $500 video card. GTX 680 video performance at a $400 price point, plus GPU Boost 2.0 and all the stuff that they're offering to their new line of cards, temperature control, adaptive fan control. Like, so you basically get some cool software, but you basically get the same performance, just much cheaper.
And
So
GPU Boost 2.0.
that's what I said. Yeah,
He's repeating in case people didn't
I
hear
don't
it.
know if you listed that one.
I said GPU Boost 2.0.
Okay.
He's repeating you.
All right. So, anyways, so the GTX 760 is basically the same thing. They're basically saying, look, remember that really expensive $450 card called a GTX 670? It's now $250 plus GPU Boost 2.0 and all that cool stuff.
GPU 2.0.
So that's basically what it is.
And they also said that was like the last card in the series.
Yeah, they
So,
said
like,
this is the last card they're going to launch until the fall, and their slides just showed us. I mean, that's the fall, I guess, is through October probably. So, and they specifically mentioned it a couple of times. I'm not sure why they're mentioning it. It's kind of weird. I think they would just sort of leave it open, like,
Yeah.
all right, we'll see. But they're telling everyone it's over for now.
These are some large price gaps too.
Yeah, so they obviously have a. So what's interesting about this? So this card basically performs exactly the same as the GTX 670 or 660 Ti, almost exactly the same. So there's not really going to be a huge amount of difference between the two of them. For those who want to hear the specs, it has 1152 CUDA cores. It's got a base clock of 980 megahertz, boost clock of 1033. I overclocked our reference board up to 1241 megahertz for testing.
It's a 256 bus thing. Right?
256 bit bus. The interesting, it has 2 gigs and 4 gig frame buffer, which is kind of like, this card is definitely on the side of 1080. It's not really going to be able to run 2560, so that 4 gig frame buffer is a little bit dubious.
Now, weren't we supposed to get like 4 gig versions of that card and then 770 4 gig versions or 5 gig versions? So there are going to be other cards, I thought.
Yeah, we haven't gotten any 760s yet. The way Nvidia did the timing of these launches is really strange. The way they've been parceling cards out and like letting, they do some special thing where they don't want their like there was something with the 780 where they weren't letting like certain 780s come out for review because it's, I don't know what the deal was. It was really weird. But the timing of it is really such that all we've seen so far from the 760 is the reference card. But just like with the 770, we'll be seeing direct CU versions from Asus and what is it? Twin Frozer versions from MSI. The 3x. Probably a 3x. Well, I don't know about 3x WinForce. We have a 3x WinForce 770 here, which is it's absolutely massive. It's a huge card. Super quiet. Runs really cool.
And then EVGA.
Yeah, EVGA too. EVGA has actually already announced their new ACX cooler. It looks like a plastic blower. It's not exactly as nice as you would find in the 780, where it's all like nickel plated and like it's pretty sweet.
It looks like the 760 supports TriSLI because it has 2 sets of bridges.
760 is the card to get right now if you have $250 and want to. Basically, the card and you want to run 1080p. So basically, the card they're aiming this card at people who have a 560 Ti or lower. Those people who upgrade will see a massive performance increase, like more than double.
From a 560 Ti to a 760?
760, yeah.
What about 2 560? Because that's always the classic dilemma. It's like, oh, I'll just go out and buy a second 560 Ti.
Yeah, people ask us that too. I mean, you'll always have more performance from another card, most likely. 560 Ti is still DX11, so
You can hit some weird gaps though with the size of the frame buffer though. Like if you have a 1 gigabyte for your 560.
Yeah, those are 1 gig cards. I'm assuming the 560 Ti's.
Yeah, but look, I'm looking here at eBay. Look at this, $122.
For the 560 Ti.
$125, 560 Ti.
Yeah.
I think there was a 2 gigabyte version of that.
These are 1 gig versions, but they're on eBay for $125.
Seems like a good price.
I mean, that's if you have one 560 Ti and the second one for 125 used.
What's most interesting, the way this card was designed to attack the HD 7950. So that card previously was around
300, 250.
Yeah, 350-ish.
Did they cut their price?
Excuse
I
me.
want to say more closer to 300.
Yeah, I haven't looked at the prices yet. I mean, this is a really aggressive price from Nvidia.
Yeah.
We thought it'd be a $300 card for sure. because their last card was $400. That's sort of the way they've been doing it in the past, is 500, 400, 300, 200. So for them to go out, for them to release the 770 at 400 and 760 at 250, it's like, it was pretty surprising, but they're obviously attacking the mid-range there. So it's a really, really good card. Quiet, super overclockable, fast. I mean, runs everything. So just to give you a taste of the benchmarks, in Unigine Heaven 4.0, this is a 1920 by 1080 with 4x AA. Everything is set to Ultra and Extreme, which is pretty demanding. 760 did 38 frames a second. So the 660 Ti was 33 frames a second. GTX 670, 37 frames a second. HD 7950 Radeon, 34 frames a second. Radeon 7870, 28 frames a second. So it's the fastest card in this class, right there with the 670. I mean right there. They are neck and neck all the way. So if you have the choice, obviously you'd want to get the 760s because it has GPU Boost 2.0. You get that you get that temperature control within the EVGA Precision X utilities. So what else? I was going to mention one other thing, which is yeah, I forgot what I was going to say. But anyways, yeah, that's the last card we'll see for a while. I don't expect anything new coming out from AMD for a while. So this is kind of it. Oh, this is what I was going to mention was here. So at the end of this is Nvidia said, this is our last card. This is our GTX 7 series and 6 series lined up. This is it. So starting at the top, GTX Titan / GTX 690, unchanged, both still in production. Right below that, GTX 780, $650 card based on GK110. Right below that, GTX 770, which is a GK104 overclocked. Below that, GTX 760, also GK104.
So, sorry, were you?
One more, GTX 7, then below that, GTX 660, then below that, GTX 650 Ti Boost. That's the end of their lineup.
So I guess we're not going to see 790 then.
We will have to wait and see. Oh, so that price gap. They are leaving a price gap between $250 and $400.
Yeah.
Sounds like they're waiting to see what AMD does.
Right. That's my impression was that they're waiting to see some sort of like mid-range, what would it be called, 8950 coming in at 350, and then they would smack down and around. I mean, so we'll see.
My guess is they're leaving the space for 4GB version of the 760, and then 770 4GB version.
Well, they've already. I think EVGA's already released their pricing and everything for the 4 gig of 760. I think it's only like $275 or something like that.
Really?
It's not that expensive.
Wow.
I mean, that extra memory, even though it's 2 gigs, is not that much money. I know on the 770 version, it was like $20 or $30. Yeah.
Interesting. There's a rumor. I can't actually find out where the rumor started because I've gone from one site to the next site. But there's a rumor of the 9000 Radeon 9000 series coming out in October, which seems
The
probably
Volcanic Islands. I think that's what they call the series of Southern Islands.
9970 and the 9950. Supposedly, who knows?
Yeah, the articles that I saw just said there's no information regarding specs or details at this time, so it's kind of useless without that.
Yeah.
I mean, they will launch something. I know that. We will have to wait and see. All right, so then the last thing we're going to talk about here is I don't remember how this argument even started, but we were talking about so we're building Dream Machine right now, and spoiler alert, but Dream Machine has a very large enclosure, and at some point I started arguing with Gordon about no, you know what it was? We did a poll on our Facebook about what size tower do you have, or what size computer do you have at home. Mid tower, which is what everyone used to have, and then back then everyone had a mid tower, but there were a few, there were a few really hardcore who had some big, huge tower, but it was pretty uncommon. These days, though, it's pretty, it's pretty common.
Full tower seems to be a lot more expensive, didn't they?
Right. So they're really expensive. But anyways, I said full tower, mid tower, micro tower, or small form factor, or slimline, or something like that. And Gordon said, "What about super towers?" And I said, "That's called full tower." And then Gordon said, "No, there's something called a super tower." And then we got in this big argument, and I don't. Anyways, so
I guess the problem is that there's only like 3 that I think would qualify. One from Silverstone. There's a Temjin. Is that what it's called?
And there's a whole
Cosmos-
shitload amount of
Cosmos
cases that
2.
would count.
But what?
Well, first, do you agree that the category exists? So, what is a full tower case?
So a full tower case is one of those cases where you have I mean, yeah, it's just a giant ass tower. You're talking about, Corsair, like all their big towers.
Sure, like 800D, 900D.
Right. So, and then I think, to me, Super Tower would be if it was beyond that, which I know, like some of those Case Labs cases or something. Some of those huge. I mean, even the TJ11 to me seems like a super tower.
That's
but
a super tower.
That is
Labs are
fucking
practically
huge.
custom.
Those are the case. Super Tower is the type of case where someone gives it to you. They say, "Here, I'll give this to you." You have to seriously think about it.
Because it doesn't fit on your desk.
Yeah, you're like,
It's
"Well, I
too
have to
big.
go rent a car."
Can you help me lift it?
Well, you guys, the Eventum, like Digital Storm's their custom-made case. I think that's bigger. iBuyPower also has gosh, damn, is it the Cerebus? It's huge. It's massive. They have a case that's huge, and the Digital Storm's custom case is also massive.
Yeah, the Eventum 2 is supposed to be like solid steel and copper. How much do you think that weighs?
It's just so long, though. It's so deep. You can't even like here. It would probably be the whole desk.
The case by itself probably weighs like more than anything one person can lift.
It's very, very heavy.
I hope it's
Digital Storm just came out. Yeah, we didn't announce it as a story, but they have this. Their original super tower is called the Eventum, which I don't even know what that means, but whatever. The Eventum 2 has just been released, and it has all the tubing for the water cooling is all copper with nickel plating on it. I mean, it is like badass. My most favorite feature on that computer is that if you're sitting down and the computer is to your left, it's probably going to be as tall as above your legs, number one. But number two is cool is it has a side-facing optical drive and media ports on the top of the case. They're side-facing, so if you're sitting there next to it, it's right next to your leg.
interesting.
It's not in the front of the case.
Right.
Yeah, Eventum is
That's a good design.
I like Latin.
That's a good design.
But the question is, it's a super case, though. That is a super tower,
Yeah.
right? So it does exist. It's not made up. It's not a full tower case.
It's one of those cases that's so large that you can't just call it a regular tower.
Right. And this is not a new. The thing is, it's not new. Super towers have been around for a long time because they've been super big cases 10 years ago.
What was that case that we used all those years ago? We put it on Skid Row after we were done with it.
That was a PC power and cooling case.
PC
Solid
power and
steel.
cooling. They used to make solid steel enclosures that were just like 3 feet tall. That was ridiculous.
Must be
Yeah.
pretty heavy, too.
And it was so strong you could sit on it or stand on it.
Yeah. Did Future make you sign a waiver before you were allowed to lift it?
No.
You know,
But that was a super tower case, I think. You know, that thing was massive.
that was how I got my introduction to these super towers. Was we had the Cosmos 2, which is from Cooler Master. It's here in their office, and then we have it built up for video card testing. But it's also our Ultra configuration for the back of the magazine for blueprints. And that's actually relatively lightly configured right now. It could theoretically be much heavier if it had all the water cooling and stuff like that. But it was over in photography being photographed for some changes we had made to it, and then it has handles built into it. So I decided to walk over and just lift it up and walk it back to our office, which is like 50 feet, right?
Right.
65 feet, something like that. And I lifted it up and immediately knew, like, okay, I made a huge mistake. Number one. Number two, getting that thing all the way, just fit that small distance, no way. There's no way. It is super, super heavy. So I don't actually have a full tower at home, though. I don't think any of us have a full tower at home.
I have a full tower, technically. Small, it's a borderline mid tower. That C70 is my gaming box right now.
It's a popular chassis.
Yeah.
Catherine's about to take home her C70 system also. Alrighty, well, that's...
So I win. There's such a thing. You agree it exists.
No, what I do agree is, here we go. Actually, let me circle back real quick, Tom. The EVGA 4 gig 760 is $279.
That's not bad.
I do agree that there are super towers. I think the fine line between super tower and full tower is kind of hazy.
Can you pick it up? Yes. If so, then it's a full tower. If you can't, then it's a super
You can
tower.
tell when you see it.
Dream Machine we had to use usually 2 people to lift it, and usually 3 people.
Right. One person in case somebody slips or something.
Yeah, it's pretty heavy. All right, well, that's the regular discussion part of the... You guys want to go down to some questions here?
Yep.
Sure.
All right, let's start with Twitter. We are at Maximum PC, and we're actually about to eclipse 20,000 followers on Twitter. Let's see how many followers. Oh, we just eclipsed it. 20046.
We should give it a
Do
prize.
you give a
away.
prize? Give a shout out to whatever 2,000? You can't even tell.
We have 46 different. We've had 46 new followers since then, so I'd have to go back and find them. So
That takes work.
yeah, it takes work.
Make the intern do it.
And now the Twitter is being a little piece of crap. So let me go back to Facebook here and then look at that. Sometimes our internet in the office here is extremely unreliable. I'm not sure how you guys' offices are. All right, so let's go to this first question here. Should I buy a Richland? This is from Zach Granger. Should I buy a Richland APU or wait for Kavari?
Well, it depends on what kind of system he wants to build. If he wants to build something with a GPU, then I'd probably go with an FX. If he wants to stick with AMD. But if he's just doing the APU without the video card, depends on what games you play. Because Kavari is apparently going to have a higher tier of the GPU. That's a new generation of GCN. So that's something to consider. If you're just playing like League of Legends, Counter-Strike Source, things that are relatively demanding, then what we have now, Richland should be fine for that. 1080p, all effects on.
What is Kavari again?
Kavari is the generation after Richland, basically, for the APUs over at AMD.
What's the ETA on that one?
I want to say October. I have to check.
We get this question a lot too, but for any other hardware name, just put the hardware in the spot. Should I go with the GTX 780 or just wait? Should I go with a blah blah blah? Just wait. And it's always like, do whatever is out now. Does that fulfill your needs? And you need to have that need fulfilled right now. Because a lot of times people just get this upgrade itch. You just go, everything's fine, but I just want to upgrade because I want to have like a fun project to work on.
Yeah.
And my PC is kind of like been the same forever. I just kind of want to change something. Like I go through that myself sometimes.
Yeah. Every week I talk to somebody. They're like, yeah, I think I should upgrade. Look, here's my system. What should I buy? And I look at it and I'm like, I think you're fine for what you said you want to do.
I actually did that. It's funny, is my home system's been pretty solid for a long time, and I actually went out and bought a 30-inch Dell panel. This was like, a month ago. Right now I've got a 27-inch Dell panel, so I figured, I know it's not a huge upgrade, but, I found an open box special online for $879 plus tax.
Now you should also mention why you need a big monitor. He's not just doing it for kicks.
Well, I do photography stuff, but, I always thought that when I first saw a 30-inch panel, I remember thinking it's way too big. But after using them here in the office, we use the 30s here in the office. I thought now it seems pretty normal to me. And using 27 at home to me seems a little bit small sometimes. Like
inadequate.
27 can get small if you're trying to watch a movie while you're trying to run Photoshop. Like that's a tight window scenario, So I bought this 30-inch panel, and the long story short was that when I looked at it, it just didn't seem like it was worth $900 for me to upgrade. So I ended up packing it back up again, putting my old monitor back on my desk, lugging it all the way back here to work, and returning it. So I had an upgrade that I upgraded and then sent back, which is the first time I've done that in a long time. So anyways, my point is that they get that upgraded sometimes too, but we have to be realistic and whether or not we think we're actually going to benefit from it in the real world. So
yeah, but to his question though, he's saying, is it better to wait? You know what? Every time you wait, it always gets better.
Yeah.
But
right.
Come on, how long are you going to wait?
All right, so let's see here. Pastor LeBron says, does the Smith & Wesson pen with stylus beat the Uzi pen with handcuff key? That's some kind of joke.
I don't know. Maybe send that question to the wrong people.
Smith & Wesson
pen with stylus.
Like those tactical pens they make now? They basically they're pens that are made to stab people to death.
Hey, speaking of which, we posted a picture last week on Facebook of Gordon's new tactical purse, and people sent me a private message saying, what does he carry in that? Do you want to reveal what you're carrying in that purse, Gordon?
What? No, I don't understand why. Now, that was misrepresentation, because that is a man purse. But it's a man purse that doesn't look like a man purse. That was my argument. You missed that fine definition there.
Gordon has
You don't feel embarrassed wearing it as a man purse.
It's tactical because it's camouflaged.
No, it's not.
Yeah,
It's
Gordon has
just
this over-the-shoulder bag that is it's what do you call that green color?
olive drab.
Okay, it's green. It's got tons of pockets everywhere. It's got an American flag on it. It looks like
It's a Maxpedition.
Maxpedition.
I think
Someone posted
Versa. I think it's a Versa Fat Boy or something.
Okay,
I
yeah,
forget
someone
which
posted a
exact
link
model.
to it. Let me see if I can find it. You can go online and check it out. It's a
So what's your problem with it?
I think if Gordon had been an adult in the 50s, he'd probably have a bomb shelter. He'd be one of those guys.
Maxpedition Versa bag.
If you lived in the 1950s, you didn't have a bomb shelter.
Oh, sorry. Well, here we go. Maxpedition Jumbo S-Type Versa Pack.
Right.
That's it right
All
there.
right.
So anyways, yeah, I don't know. We don't know what Gordon carries in it. What do you
I
carry?
carry stuff. I got kids. You carry stuff. You carry water. It's actually
Taser.
very handy. You don't want to
And,
carry all the stuff in your pants, and especially if you're wearing shorts, they weigh down your pants.
All right, yeah, it's a pretty cool looking bag. There's pictures. Some guy posted a picture on our Facebook of a guy who's actually in Afghanistan or somewhere else when he's like got full loaded gear, and he has the same exact bag as Gordon. And Gordon's got
See?
diapers in his bag, but this guy's got
Yeah,
like,
that's what it was for. You carry diapers, but
Right.
you're not like, hey, it's a diaper bag, but it doesn't look like a diaper bag.
All right, so Sebastian.
Wait, what was the question though?
The question is, what does you carry in your bag?
Oh, I thought it was what is
No,
the
the reader-
question
the
like
reader question
before
was-
that?
He wants to know what pen he should be studying.
Oh, I don't think this question makes any sense, so I'm moving on because we're pressed for time here. All right, so this is Sebastian Munier says 7990 versus GTX Titan. Good, bad, and the ugly.
Hmm.
Tricky.
I would take the Titan because you don't get the weirdness with the
the
weird crossfire
Titan,
frame
there was-
issues you get with 7990.
There was an article last week from I think it was Tom's Hardware that said that Nvidia was claiming that once the Titan came out, all their dual GPU cards, 690, just like everyone just dropped them like a hot potato. So,
Yeah.
and then they also were interviewing the OEMs, saying you guys selling this is from Tom's Hardware saying that none of the OEMs are integrating 7990s.
Some of them were saying that there wasn't even any interest.
Yeah. I mean, if you can avoid dual GPU, you're better off. It'd be like, I mean, it works pretty well. I have a 690. It works pretty well, you know.
Tom's tried two, right? They tried two 7990s in Crossfire X.
Yeah, there were some major issues with that, and I actually at one point asked AMD for a second 7990 too to try to do the same test. And this is months ago though. I mean, they said they couldn't get me one, so we never tried that. That's a fantasy scenario too. I mean, one 7990 is like it seems
Well,
so ridiculous.
but I would still like to see how bad it is. I mean, as far as thermals and as far as the power
Yeah,
consumption.
you want to be able to repeat the experiment.
Yeah, supposedly the first card just gets nuclear hot, and then the thermals are horrible. I mean, the AMD's dual GPU situation right now, not good.
Yeah, it's really funny.
They're promising that there's a fix coming July 31st. I'm not sure why they would mention that date, but they have.
What could the fix be? Is it for
Patch.
the? Yeah,
Software
but
patch?
for thermals?
No, thermals.
For framing.
On the thermals thing, they said that that's not ordinary, and not only is it not ordinary, but they can't reproduce it in their labs, so they're sort of contesting that one. a
Oh,
little
so
bit.
AMD's saying they can't do it, huh?
Right. So,
Interesting. See, well, we should get a second card and try it.
I seriously, I mean, given what's happened already, if I go ask them for another card, I seriously doubt they're going to say sure.
Well,
what are you
but
gonna
maybe
do with
they.
it?
Well, I mean, if they're really saying they can't do it, then maybe they'd be willing to say, "Oh, we need people to vindicate our position."
I'll ask AMD. We're off topic. Bottom line is Titan. Everyone here would go with Titan.
Yeah, heck, you can bring Titan in
That
a
thing's
small
going to
form
be
factor box.
super fast. It's going to be, I don't know if it's quieter. I mean, pretty much a draw thermal wise and noise wise, but you'll have zero problems running that thing.
For the money, I'd actually go with the 780 and overclock it.
Yeah, but he's asking
unless you
between the two.
need the double precision compute that the Titan brings.
But between the two, right? It's kind of
Yeah,
fancy
between
position anyway.
between the two cars that he was talking about, I'm with the Titan.
But you know, the 7890 will actually be faster in some benchmarks, right? Definitely.
For sure.
But you got to deal with the other weirdness with it.
690 is actually a loud card too. I have a 690 at home, and I've been playing Borderlands 2.
It's not 7890 though.
I know, but I mean, we tend to forget how loud these cards are. They're kind of loud.
Yeah, yeah.
All right. I was gonna say I've been playing the Tiny Tina's DLC for Borderlands 2, and I have headphones on. I'll take my headphones off once in a while just to like go do something. Like that 690 is loud as hell.
I don't know. I don't think it's that bad.
It's not. Well, I wouldn't say that. The thing about it is that it's not a. The nice thing is the whine from the fans isn't high pitched. It's low.
Do you have it overclocked with the GPU?
No. I even backed off my normal CPU overclock because Gordon asked me to this weekend.
If you're trying to troubleshoot problems, the first thing you do is back off your overclock.
All right. Robert Armitage asked, "Why don't I ever see Gordon with a beard?"
He always shaves it.
Because that was a Will thing, I think. Will took the beard with him to test it.com.
Quentin Ultra Humanite Moses asks, "How much longer until SSDs replace hard drives?"
Well, I think for some people they already have.
Right. But he's talking about forever.
Forever.
Kind of like the way USB keys replace floppies and to some extent CDs. Now the cloud's kind of replacing CDs.
It's gonna be pretty gradual.
CDs are going to be going away in the next 2 to 5 years.
No.
Yes.
No.
Yes.
No.
Yes.
It's settled.
For mobile stuff, it'll be probably a couple more years before we'll see there won't be any more hard drives at all in mobile, guaranteed.
As long as the price is, I mean, I think the big problem is not capacity now. The big problem is the price.
But the thing is though, is everyone's moving all their storage to the cloud. So when you have a notebook, or you have a tablet, you don't actually need local storage in a tablet anymore. This is what we talked about the other day.
I don't know if that's actually really true. I think it's a nice fantasy.
I'm
Because
not really much of a
as
cloud
you've
person.
noticed, how long has it taken you to upload all of your photos to the cloud?
I actually caught up on it this weekend. I actually finally caught up on all that. The big problem I had. So what I ended up doing was for those of you, and no one gives a shit about my problems. But anyways, I ended up excluding raw files from my. So my problem was I was doing too much photography. I could not. By the time I got all my photos onto my computer, by the time the computer was ready to back those up online, by the time it had almost cut out, I would dump another 100 gigs, and then 100 gigs, and it just kept going.
Is it practical to compress these images, or would it just take so much time?
So for my problem is I have a D800 Nikon, which is a 36 megapixel camera. So I come back from a shoot with like literally 100 gigs of photos, right? That would take like 6 months alone to do one of those backups via my internet connection, my shitty internet connection. So I kept doing a shoot after shoot after shoot, so it became this game that I could never win. Like board games.
So let me get this right. So the cloud works fine as long as you just throw away your digital negatives.
Right. So I had to exclude NEF files in order to get that to be a manageable solution.
Oh, so that makes sense. Yeah,
Right.
People don't need space. Oh, you know what? Why don't you just what if you want to deal with the D800 noise problem with JPEGs? What if you need your NEF for that?
I don't really have any problems with the noise problems. I usually go over ISO 1600 or so. That's photography talk. Let's get back to this. All right. Paul Carhuff says, what were we even talking about?
We're talking about hard drives and
hard drives and SSDs. Yeah.
So
So
I think this is a perfect example of why the hard drive will not be replaced especially for enthusiasts. For your average Joe Blow, that is like, hey, they've got a 160 gig hard drive and they're still using it. Yeah, they could do it, but they're not going to go out and put the money down for an SSD, right? For an enthusiast, there's no way you're going to be able to replace a hard drive.
Yeah, but it seems like at some point in the near future, a 128 gig SSD will be so incredibly cheap that it'll just be like for free in every notebook almost.
Fine, that's for a notebook, but I have a lot of stuff I need to store, videos, photos.
Right,
and
for that
it's
stuff,
not
yeah.
gonna it's not gonna happen with an SSD for a long.
No, on the day.
long
Well,
time.
what I said it was mobile. A couple years. I can there's a million advantages for mobile in terms of the ruggedness and all that stuff like that, heat, noise, etc., etc.
Rugged, except for just suddenly dying on you.
SSDs, yeah, they can be a little bit temperamental.
Yeah.
Actually, that was I had all these problems with my computer this weekend. That was at one point I loaded up the Intel SSD. I have an Intel SSD. Opened up the Intel SSD toolbox just to see if my drive was even like if it was part of the problem or what. And it said cannot communicate with your Intel SSD at this time. I was just like, God damn it! I had so many stupid problems. All right, here's another question.
Here's my last thing. My
Okay.
last input. This notebook here has a 240 gig SSD and a 500 gig hard drive. This weekend I was looking for the 1 terabyte hard drive because it's a 7mm drive. So, and you know what? There's no way I could ever live with an SSD in my laptop. So,
You mean without it?
I mean, without it, I definitely need a hard drive. And I need the capacity of a hard drive.
Wow.
He collects a lot of Intel.
All right, we're actually gonna let's just do this, you guys. Let's just run through this thing real quick here. All right. So just because we don't have a lot of time, we have a lot of questions. Actually, you know what? All right, let's just go as fast as we can. Samuel Aldrich asks, why is the intern so in love with Gordon? Gordon is the man for sure, but he takes it too far. Chris is not here to answer that question, but he does. Chris is clearly trying to emulate Gordon with his swearing.
Maybe he's just naturally like that.
All right, Anthony Skira asked a question that's really complicated about a $1,000 budget, so I'm sorry we can't get to you. Hamsel Para says, how can raising the voltage on a video card help with losing video signal and sound? I was told by the tech support that if I have a GTX 570 classified 850 watt power supply checked and it is giving clean power. Raising the voltage on a video card help with losing video signal and sound. I've never heard that before.
Would it help with losing?
Right, he's losing video signal, and then his technician said, you need to raise your video voltage.
That's a new one on me.
Yeah.
And most cars don't even let you raise your voltage.
So Celeb Thomas, Caleb, what are your thoughts? What are your guys' thoughts on Battlefront 3, and what would you like it to have? I have not played that game.
That's the new Star Wars one?
Oh, yeah.
Is that the one that J.J. Abrams is developing?
Hopefully.
Is he really?
It sounds pretty badass because that's actually like classic Star Wars. None of this bullshit Star Wars.
The
It's
Battlefront
like classic.
series is very popular.
No, I mean, but this new one is like Battle of Endor. Just all the good stuff. None of this, new weird
Jar Jar
revision
Binks
crap.
and all
All right, we don't know. 7990 did that one already. I'm just gonna do the short ones here. How much longer till SSD? Okay, already started. Can you put together a delidding guide for Ivy Bridge and Haswell chips? And do you think Intel should offer that for a small extra fee?
that. Well, the thing about that is that you don't really need.
Delidding would be to remove the heat spreader off the top of your CPU in order to basically expose the CPU core. That is like, that's like, yeah, you could theoretically remove whatever thermal paste is on there that came from the factory and put some sort of different solution on there and then put the lid back on. Like, I don't know why you would.
Well, the problem isn't the thermal paste, from what I understand. The problem is that Intel just used a little bit too much of it, where they left too much of a gap in between the spreader and the die or something like that.
No one knows. It's all. So he's talking about first. Intel's never going to do that because it's like, hey, we're going to give you a chip. Please void the warranty,
Yeah.
and then have you bring it back to Fry and say, I don't know what happened. The lid just fell off this in the box. I just took it out. It was like that. They don't want to deal with that shit, right? I think honestly, if you want to delid it, there's been several. I've seen 2 stories. One, some testing has been shown that replacing the solder with or whatever the thermal paste with solder helped. And I've also seen one that says it doesn't make any difference. So I unless you're hardcore liquid nitrogen, I wouldn't mess with it.
Well, once you get to the point where you need to delid your CPU, then in your ordinary gamers, even enthusiast gamers, you're only going to see a difference of maybe 10% in your gaming performance.
Yeah,
going through that whole process.
This is one of those projects that falls into the category of probably does more harm than good, or too much time invested for very little benefit.
You can get those things up to 4.2 on air, 4.5 with the $100 closed-loop water cooler, and that's pretty damn fast. And you're going to get maybe 200 more megahertz by delidding, and you might destroy the chip physically. So it's very tricky.
Mark Miller, aka Chamslot, asks, as far as I know, Intel's RST only supports trim with RAID 0. When will we be able to set up RAID 1 with 2 SSDs and have trim support? Now, that's hey Mark, that's technically my field since I cover SSDs. I'm actually not sure what the answer is. I could bullshit back and forth about, I really don't know the answer to that.
Oh, so they did finally add trim RAID 0 to the latest RAID 0 drivers with 8 series.
That thing just updated a couple of days ago.
Did they?
Yeah. So
I can't imagine them not supporting it in RAID 1. It wouldn't make any sense, but I would think if you can pass trim commands over RAID 0, why not be able to pass them in RAID 1?
Theoretically, you should be able to do it.
Something we should mess with.
We're actually looking at doing it. We're about to embark on something similar to that, like a RAID feature for SSDs. So we'll definitely take a look at that too. Thanks for your feedback, Mark. Is Blu-ray technology a sham? Why or why not?
No, it really does work.
If you have a 2011 processor and plan on overclocking, are custom water cooling loops worth it?
2011? Or wait, what did you say?
2011.
LG
Yeah.
21.
Sure.
CPU is a 3930K.
Yes.
Sure, you can get those things up to 5 gigahertz if you have a sufficiently advanced cooling system.
Yeah, I guess it's worth it if you want to hit those clocks, but at the same time, what you're going to spend.
The question is, do you need 5 gigahertz?
Well, not even that, but
is it worth
wait,
it?
by the
can't-
time you
but
pay for all the
can't-
parts, that's what? Oh, you just spent $700.
Yeah, you're looking at like $750.
You could easily just buy a closed loop water cooler and get close.
I don't think you can get really that close.
For the money that it
Really?
costs, you can add like another 780 to your system.
Yeah.
That's going to get you more overall performance.
I don't think you can get close because of the noise.
Excuse
They're
me.
just too loud. Closed loops are way too noisy, and they just I think you get a lot more out of the custom ones, but it's also very expensive. So yeah, it is if you really want to hit those clock speeds. I think it's worth it.
All right, switching over to Gmail now. This is from Dan Dickerson. He says, for all your complaints about the difficulty shutting down Windows 8, there's a simple fix. Number 1, on the desktop, create a shortcut with the target string of shutdown space /s space /T000. Right-click on the resulting shortcut and pin it to your start screen. You now have a button on the start screen that will shut down your computer.
Or just use Windows 7.
You can add the additional flag /F to force running programs to close without giving you a message.
That's a good tip.
Dickerson. Thanks, Dan. I actually was about ready to switch over to Windows 8 at home, but I haven't done it yet. I'll make sure and add that to my list if I do. All right, and then we have another one here from Brett and Mather saying we need to turn up the audio volume in our podcasts. I hope this is good for you, Brett. We do spend time before the show begins tuning everyone, make sure we're all audible.
Yeah, it's good for us. It's good for you.
Yeah, we hope it's good for you. We do spend, like I said, we don't just sit down, and we've got a lot of comments lately about the volume. We're working on it. We hope it's getting close to being fixed or fixed. It seems fixed to us, so let us know what you want to do or how that sounds to you. All right, here's one call. It says, "Dear Sir or Madam, we are glad to hear that you are on the market for polycarbonate sheets. We are Chinese." And wait, this is a spam message. Just kidding. That was a joke. All right. All right, we got a system building here. Hi, Max PC, love the podcast. What would you suggest for a mid-level budget build? These are two. You need to be a little bit more information on these.
Yeah, and you need to know the price.
Yeah.
What you want to do with the system, what kind of game you want to play, what your monitor resolution is.
All right, here we go. So this is another example. Here we go. John Sponheimer. Greetings, Max PC gurus. No typical banter. Here we go. 3 questions, all gen related. And I have a desktop with Gigabyte socket 15. There's socket 1366, Core i7 920, also 1366, and Nvidia GeForce 260. I'm exploring an upgrade as I seem to have an intermittent blue screen. My troubleshooting is leading me to believe it's my motherboard. Motherboard, by the way, is the EX58UD 4P from Gigabyte. He goes on to question number 2. I don't really see. Okay, number 1. What would you suggest I do? I'm a gamer and my video card is starting to age a bit, but curious if you were in my position. How would you? So this is a gamer with GTX 260, socket LGA 1366, and a weird blue screen. Should he?
And a 920 part, right?
Yeah, 920. So I guess his question is: upgrade one bit at a time, or just go all the way out?
Well, if he's starting to get these blue screens recently, then it could be RAM starting to get flaky.
Okay, well actually, let me clarify. He says, if you were in my position, would you make it a new processor and motherboard, or just upgrade the video card?
I would start with the video card, and then if he's still not getting performance, then
I upgraded. I had the same processor. I had an i7 950, same class, Nehalem.
Yeah.
And I went from that to Ivy Bridge, and it was a massively noticeable increase. It was really, really good.
At this point, I would just do the whole thing.
Yeah.
I mean, you don't really know what your
here's the
problem
second
is.
part. Also, is there any real reason I should look into an AMD processor and motherboard at this time? I know Intel is generally better on the performance side, but is it that much better?
I would say he probably, Haswell is going to be a lot faster than AMD's competing parts. You're going to spend more for it, though. I think actually AMD, if you're really just a pure gamer, you do get a lot of bang for your buck. If you're going to save $100 on just your CPU and motherboard to $150, that gets you a 780, which is going to get you a lot more than in gaming than you're going to get out of a Haswell
yeah,
part.
you can get a 6300 FX 6300 for about $100 less than a 4670K, and if that means $100 better GPU, then overall your gaming performance.
Right, but are you truly a gamer? That's the question.
Yeah,
because
there's that.
is there really somebody who only plays games? If you do only play games, AMD's a great part. But if you do a lot of video encoding, you do a lot of photo stuff, you do a lot of other applications, pretty much Intel's gonna wipe the floor with it.
He also asked, what should I go with? Should I go with AMD or Nvidia? So this is basically the same. These are the most typical questions we get all the time: Intel versus AMD versus Nvidia.
Depends on your budget.
Yeah, it depends on your budget. Everyone would always, the typical thing that people would say was, well, Nvidia has better drivers, and that's still true. Just because they release them more often, they seem to be. I like their driver control panel a lot better. Like everything about them just seems more modern, more up to date, kind of more polished. And the AMD drivers, yeah, they've been releasing them more frequently. Although in the last couple months, they've kind of slowed down a bit.
The catalyst is confusing, though. They definitely do need a refresh of the catalyst.
Their website is also, their website, the way the drivers look, it all just seems very antiquated.
Driver releases have been flowing that because it's sort of a seasonal lull. It'll start picking up again in September.
I didn't know there was a season for drivers.
There's a season for
Sure,
games.
sure.
There's a season for
I never
games.
run 318 after September.
Right, yeah.
No.
That's a major faux pas.
Talking about seasonal game releases.
But I would, I don't know. I mean, honestly, there's a lot of pluses. Nvidia's got what, power? They're better on power.
Well, you know what's funny though
better
is they
separation.
Yeah,
they have better.
They're better in power, but
Better
they
in
also
power.
but they also AMD hasn't released their second generation Tahiti cards yet, and they might not. Apparently, they might not even release them. We don't know.
Well, but I mean, in the here and now, right?
Well, they did release one new card, the 7790, and that card was like 50 watts, less power than the Nvidia equivalent.
Okay.
So what I've been waiting for is something to take that sort of upstream, and they haven't. So we don't know what's going on.
Yeah, you know what I do like definitely about video cards, whereas you don't quite get that with CPUs, but they self-sort themselves. So if you have a $250 Nvidia card, once AMD's had time to react, their $250 card is generally the same performance as the $250 Nvidia card. If ATI comes out with a new card, AMD, and they come out with a new $300 card, suddenly the equivalent Nvidia card settles itself down with the same performance of $300.
All right, Ryan Bell asks, I was wondering if there are any ZA7 motherboards that support 64 gigs of RAM.
No, because you're not going to be able to get any 8 gig. Well, let me think. Because if you run a Xeon in there, I think the Xeon 1150s, yeah, because
I was looking at some FM2 motherboards that don't take 64.
well,
I know it's AMD.
well, the problem is you're not going to be able to get more than 8 gig DIMMs unless they're registered, right? So, yeah, if you're going to do LGA 2011, you got eight slots. You can run the big boy stuff. For more regular stuff, 32 gigs is the max, unless you go with registered buffer DIMMs. And I think actually Xeon, let me just check. I think actually you actually can do registered DIMMs with the Xeon parts at 1150. But let me check. But I actually think it's possible. If you are really going to go for that density, it is probably a good idea to actually go with your motherboard manufacturer's recommended parts list.
And before you start buying 16 gig DIMMs, make sure they actually need that much RAM, because stuff is expensive.
Go ahead. Why don't we move on? I'll get back to you.
All right. First, this question seems interesting, but I'm just going to read it. This is from Gavin from Seattle. He says he would have called us, but he got sick and lost his voice. So if you feel better, Gavin. I have 2 questions for you guys. First, I have EVGA 3-way SLI X58 motherboard with a Core i7 930 processor, 6 gigs of RAM, GeForce GTX 560 Ti. The motherboard does not have a floppy drive connector, and my copies of Windows 7 is an upgrade. So whenever I need to reinstall Windows, I've had to pull my hard drive and put it into another computer, install and activate Windows XP, then put the hard drive back in my computer and install Windows 7. So he's been reinstalling the OS and then upgrading it. Okay.
I thought you could use Windows 7 to upgrade to create a full installation.
Yeah, there's a way to do it. I know I did it when I did that with the upgrade disk a long time ago. I forget how you do it. I mean, it's been years.
Yeah, but I would just Google around. There's definitely tricks
Well,
to convince it to. Oh, go ahead.
Sorry, I've heard of a few programs that you can use to burn an XP disk with the RAID SATA. Excuse me. Sorry. I've heard of a few programs that you can use to burn an XP disk with the RAID SATA drivers on the CD, so you don't need a floppy. Even though my specific motherboard doesn't have a floppy connector, the motherboard driver CD still includes the floppy drivers for its motherboard family, since other boards in this family do have a connector. Do these programs work, and which would you recommend? I'm not always sure what his question is. What does he need?
He wants to do RAID.
Oh, he's saying he has to install a floppy. Wait, I don't know.
He wants to do RAID out of the box when he's installing XP. I guess that you need a floppy drive that's on a floppy disk to do that.
Well, he wants to install Windows 7. Windows 7, when you do have 6 drivers, you do not have to use a floppy drive anymore. It'll recognize USB devices.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah, for those they call F6 drivers, because back in the days of Windows XP, you had to actually put the drivers for. So basically, it would be when you're in a pre-OS environment, like OS is not installed yet, and you need access to some sort of storage device like a RAID controller, a RAID card, something like that. You had to install the drivers from the floppy drive. It would prompt you during installation of XP to put in the drive in and press. You had to press F6 when you were booting it up, I think, is what it was. So. All right, second question says, I'm following your advice in getting Samsung 840 Pro 256. My first SSD, I would like to hear your version of SSD installation 101. Besides never defragging it, I don't know if there's any other quirks. What specific BIOS and Windows settings should I be concerned with? And he says, is there a tutorial online? Also, you said the 128 gig version is really slow. I looked at Newegg and it says that uses a different memory controller than the other drives, which is why it's so much slower.
The regular Samsung 840 uses a different controller than the Pro.
Yeah, I don't think the Pro, as far as my knowledge is, the Pro is the same drive no matter what. In terms of what to do once you install it, I mean, it's pretty straightforward. I've had people ask me this question before. I'm not aware of any super advanced tricks or tactics. All I would say is make sure you enable AHCI in the BIOS. I would say make sure and download the Samsung Magician SSD software, which should automatically detect your drive, and it will give you a plethora of information about your drive. It'll let you optimize your drive, it'll let you run trim on your drive, it'll let you benchmark your drive, it'll give you the status of your drive. I mean, it does everything you could possibly imagine, and it's really surprising to me that only Samsung at this point is the one who offers software like that.
It is nice, isn't it?
It's really, really nice, and they don't charge for it, and they have the basically arguably the best SSD you can buy, the Samsung 840 Pro. It's still our #1 pick.
I assume the software only recognizes the Samsung.
Correct.
Okay, wait, let's quickly get in. So I just looked up Intel Xeon E3-1275V3, which is basically the Haswell Xeon, right? It's 1150 part, remarked as a Xeon. It does have ECC RAM support, but according to Intel, it only supports 32 gigs max. It's not really clear to me, though, what it maxes out at, but Intel is saying 32 gigs, but then they do say dependent on memory type. You can get 16 gig 16 gig DIMMs, DDR3 registered for looking 136, 140 bucks a piece. But it sounds to me like it does not actually work on the 1150 Haswell parts.
It seems like at that point you might as well just go LGA 2011.
Yeah, that's the cheapest and easiest way to do it.
All right, we're gonna have to jump in really quick here into editor picks. So why don't you go ahead and give that a shot, Tom? You ready to start?
Sure. My pick was The Secret World, which was I think on sale for like $10 at Amazon or Steam. I forget which. The sale will probably still be on by the time you see this podcast. It's a massively multiplayer online game, but there's no monthly fee, and it's sort of set in the modern day, and the angle is like exploring these different conspiracies with the Illuminati and the Templars and this other third group I can't remember. Sort of an X-Files-y sort of thing. I think it's worth checking out for $10. There's also an in-game store you can buy extra things to improve your character, cosmetic things I think as well.
Gordon?
I'm going to recommend my favorite man purse, the Maxpedition. I will give you the actual name, the Jumbo Versapack. It is a shoulder bag. Comes in many cool colors, including yellow, red, orange, OD, black, khaki.
Does it come with diapers?
And yes, so that's great for people who need to have a diaper bag, but they don't want to look like they're carrying the diaper bag with them.
Nice.
And later on, you could carry whatever you want in there. It's got a zip pocket for a full-size auto or revolver, if you live in a free state. What the hell
Sorry
is
about
that?
the static, you guys. All right, I tried plugging in the headphones, didn't work. All right, my pick. I've got two little things here. Now, this is probably one of the best picks I've ever had before. I bought this little teeny thing for my keychain, and it is. This is what's so cool about it. It's basically a little multi-tool for your keychain, but it has pointy parts to it, but not sharp enough to cut through your shorts, and it's also airline approved.
You should show it to the camera.
I don't think they're going to be able to see it. We'll put a picture up in the editing. Let me talk about it first, and I'll give you it. So it's called the Gerber 22-01769 Shard Keychain Tool. It costs $4. It's basically just a slab of metal, but it's lightweight. It does airplane safe titanium coating for corrosion resistance. Here's what it has on it: small and medium flat driver, Phillips head screwdriver, wire stripper, pry bar, bottle opener, and a lanyard hole. It's just like a little metal kind of pry bar with like pointy ends you can use as screwdrivers. So it's really, really cool. Hasn't not cut my pocket open yet, and it's only $4.
And it looks like a claw.
Yeah, it looks like a little metal claw on your keychain. So I can try and put it up. Oh, I'm gonna have to let this thing go. I don't think these guys can really see it very well on this thing.
21st century.
But
It really has not cut holes in your pocket.
it has not cut holes in my pocket yet. That's my #1 pick. Number two pick is the number two pick is actually, since Tom mentioned the $9.99, I'm gonna go with the Tiny Tina DLC for Borderlands 2. I actually haven't played that game in a while. Last one I played was the Torque campaign of whatever. That was pretty funny. But that was a while ago, and I kind of got out of it. It's like after a while, it's just grinding. Like you never get any new gear. You never get any new guns. It's just kind of like whatever. I'm just running around.
That's great.
Well, the new game has all the new Borderlands is like you're basically playing in a tabletop D&D game that Tina is running out in the real world with all the other characters of the game. It's just really funny, and it's awesome for $10. It's awesome. It's like a whole game. I mean, it's basically like the biggest. It's the final DLC in the Borderlands 2 world. It's the longest of all of them, and it's for $10, man. It is. I mean, it's really good. So I can't recommend it highly enough. Check it out.
Borderlands 2 is on sale on Amazon. They're probably on sale on Steam later this summer. In the $10, $15 range.
It's a really fun game. The writing is so spot on. It's just super funny. It's really hilarious. Anyways, that's about it for our editor picks. We have about enough time for Gordon.
Rant of the week.
Mm-hmm.
You ready? All right. Here.
Class, listen up. Gordon's going to present his rant of the week.
Who's the dumbass who came up with this idea? I mean, what kind of a fucking loser? You're wasting your fucking time. Total fucking loser. I hate all this shit.
All right, first thing I'm going to complain about. Now, what people don't understand is this podcast goes on for like a fucking hour and a half, right? It's been like 2 hours today. It just goes on and on and on. We're all drinking coffee. We're drinking soda. We had soda. We had a meeting before this. You're all full of liquids. You got to go pee. So we run out of here. We shut down the fucking computer. You run out of here. You go to the bathroom to take your piss. Let me tell you about this building. The floor we work on, there's probably like, I don't know, it's like 85% man nerds, right? A bunch of gamers and fucking nerds, right? So you can imagine.
Wait. You think the other magazines go, those fucking Maximum PC nerds?
It's fine. Of course, you think the people in accounting and sales like, oh, Maximum PC, they're so cool, hip. No, they're like fucking nerds, right? Then you get on their MacBook, whatever. Here's the thing. So you run out of here. You gotta go. I gotta go. You rush the fuck out of here. You go in the bathroom. There's 2 stalls, and then there's 2 closed stalls with the toilets.
Two
right?
urinals.
2 urinals, 2 stalls. That's it for like 80 fucking man nerds, right? So you go in there, and this happened earlier because we are like, oh, I gotta go before the podcast because it's gonna be 2 hours, right? Josh is there, Tom's in there, and both fucking stalls are full. What are you supposed to do? Right? Like 80 fucking man nerds, like drinking Diet Coke all day. What are we supposed to? It's like a concert. You can start pissing in the sink pretty soon, right?
I told Gordon just to
Have you ever been to a Stones concert?
shower.
That's what they do at the Stones concert.
He could have peed in the shower. It would have been very easy.
No, yeah,
We told him.
no. I mean, the thing is, look, there's like what, maybe 30 women here. I don't know how many, but there aren't as many. I never see them lining up or like waiting to go in the bathroom. We should just have co-ed bathrooms. So if you really got to go, it's emergency. They got probably 4 stalls over there. You could use it over there. What the hell? What's the problem?
I think HR would be cool with that.
Why not? They did an Ally McBeal for people who remember that show.
You should just pee in the hallway as a protest.
I think that would work.
Or I would say
Have one of those saloon
pee
things?
at your desk area, but then you would get all this hardware you have piled up around your work area completely soaked.
That's why it's
Yeah,
there.
but
I'm just
would anybody
saying,
notice the difference?
don't you guys ever do that though? It's like, oh man, I gotta go. You get in there.
As much as your point is correct that this is a male-dominated office, and I'm sure if you went in the women's bathroom, there would probably be the same exact number of urinals, whatever you want to call them, as there are in our bathroom. Maybe this one of those equal things. Like we built theirs the same as you built yours. But yeah, that's ignoring the reality of the fact this is mostly males in our office. There should be like 4 times as many urinals. That said, I've never walked in and actually had it completely full.
They just
come
have to
on.
prohibit the consumption of fluids in the office.
Yeah, I'm
Problem
surprised.
solved.
It just happens all the time. And then the thing is, like, if you go to a concert or you go to wherever, like the women's bathroom, it's like, holy fuck. It's like it's always lined up. It's like 20 deep to get in the women's restroom. Finally, somebody in the
Have you
women's
ever been in
restroom
there?
says,
It's
"Fuck it."
pretty nice.
They say, "Fuck it. I'm just going to go to the men's room." Guys don't give a shit. We should be able to do the same thing here, right? Do you agree?
Yeah. No, I don't agree.
You should be able to fight people for the right to.
All right, now I'm going to bring up another bathroom thing. Now, it's unfortunately we don't have any women here in the room, but you always get this. I remember one time at this bar. This is why I still remember it. It's been like fucking 9 years. We all went to a party after the magazine, whatever. We go to this bar. We're hanging out. I go to use the bathroom. It's like, first, it's a fucking bar in San Francisco. There's one toilet. There's like 180 people in there. It's one fucking toilet, right? It's like, okay, finally the bathroom opens up. I go in there. You know what I do? Okay, most guys don't give a fuck, but I actually use the toilet paper, pick up the gross toilet seat, right? Go to the bathroom, wash my hands, and you know what I do? I leave it up. And then, of course, some woman's going in. She's like, whoa, thanks for leaving the seat up. It's like, you know what, lady? I didn't tell her this. But you know what, lady? I'm doing you a fucking favor. Because if I left that seat down, most guys would just piss all over it. And you want to sit down on that? That is not good. It's better to just leave it. It should be default up all the time to be like you're doing them a favor instead of you leaving it down, having some damn slob piss all over the damn thing, right? That is doing them a favor.
You're the gentleman. Absolutely.
Don't you agree? No?
Toilet
Josh?
seats? I don't know.
You would leave it up? You would take that criticism? I think
I don't understand why.
think
I don't
that
understand why
is
this
better.
is the man. I don't understand why it's men who have to always make sure it's in this proper position. Why can't women have the same responsibility?
I'm not going to touch that argument.
I'm just saying, by doing that, I whatever, you know, Josh, you could have your. I'm saying that's my bit of being a hero that day.
You
It's
are
lifting
wearing
that seat up, leaving the seat up.
Well, I appreciate it.
you are
right?
wearing your FDNY shirt, so
All right,
it is very
you
heroic.
can thank me for my service later of
Right.
leaving the toilet seat up, so that some fucking slob doesn't piss all over it, which is what they do in a bar because they're all drunk,
I don't
Right.
give a shit.
That's true.
right?
How come the whole system seems really wildly like you know it just seems
Out of order.
It just seems old and antiquated.
The whole
The
bathroom
toilet,
thing?
the bathroom, the trough.
Should we just use a hole in the ground?
I don't know. We might as well have that here. I mean, they should just have like a.
I don't mind the bathroom part actually doesn't the part with the urinals part isn't that big of a deal. It's when you turn around to go to the sink and there's goddamn water all over the fucking
Yeah,
counter and
wet-
your shirt gets all wet and you're just
Wet
like
paper
what the,
towels
that
dangling everywhere.
yeah, that really annoys me.
Yeah, our bathroom is like it's like a rest stop bathroom.
Strange.
The whole
smells,
bathroom should be made of stainless steel,
odd
right?
colors, stains.
It's pretty gross. All right, now we can't go on a podcast without talking about this. The Star Wars reference, right? We should do really that all Star Wars podcast. But look, I was just thinking, Millennium Falcon. You know, you're both familiar with Star Wars, right?
Sure.
The Millennium Falcon. He's smuggling shit in the Falcon, right? Because he's a smuggler. That's a freighter. Where did the freight go in that thing? I mean, like it was just one big ass engine in back.
But
Then
the-
they've got this like massive cool place where you can hang out. He's got the 3D chessboard.
We've seen them stowed away several times during the series. In
Yeah, I know.
tunnels,
Yes,
and
but what the hell kind of freighter is that? Okay, I need to hire your freighter. I got to move these 5 XP38s all the way to Yavin. I can only take like 4 Christmas packages in my freighter. What the fuck kind of freighter is that?
I got the impression that he was never actually a legitimate freighter mover guy. He was always just smuggling a small amount of expensive stuff.
Right. So basically, and I said this, he's got a minivan, right? And it's like me, like, hey, I got him a moving company. I'll come move your stuff. You show up in the fucking minivan,
He is
right?
I think it's more like a cigarette boat.
It's a fast minivan.
It's more like a cigarette boat where it's all power and very little storage.
That's not a freighter, though. That's not a freighter.
Right.
That's Crockett and Tubbs. That is not a freighter.
Did he refer to it as a freighter?
Come on, yeah, the Millennium Falcon is a freighter.
Oh.
Nathan, if you're listening, help me. He knows all the Star Wars references.
Okay.
But that is a freighter, right? But it's not a freighter. It's more like a minivan.
Kind of like a it's like the car that they use in the in American Vacation, Griswolds.
Okay.
Yeah, this is a station wagon.
Right, station wagon.
Right.
Wood panel.
Right.
Right.
So I'm just saying, he's like, yeah, I got this freighter. I'm a smuggler. It's like, dude, you've got like a station wagon.
National
What are you gonna smuggle for me?
He
Right.
did that. But he did that one run in like 4 parsecs or whatever. Though that's pretty good.
Yeah, whatever. I don't
Kessel
care.
Run.
I actually
Yeah,
need
he
to
did the
move
Kessel
some
Run.
freight. Where's the freight? Where do you put the freight in the damn
He's
thing?
probably running beer out to Texarkana.
What? Where does he put it? Wait, was that Smokey and the Bandit?
You never saw the whole ship, dude. You don't know what's going on.
Yeah, I know we saw the ship because Earl's running around. They've got all these quarters.
No, but they're not going to be
all
in the
this
movie.
stuff.
They're not going to be like, so let's just give you a tour of the Falcon.
They never
No,
show the
dude.
toilets either. You never want to see those things.
Yeah, because they're probably like our toilets. There's like one fucking toilet in the Millennium Falcon.
Covered
right?
in water.
And could you imagine
Paper-
Princess
wet
Leia's
paper
like,
towels
all right, I gotta
everywhere,
go.
piss in the sea.
She's waiting. There's one fucking toilet. She's gotta go. And then fucking Chewbacca comes out. It's like, oh, Christ.
How-
Right?
Well,
You don't
Could
wanna
you
go to
imagine
the
like, oh,
bathroom.
Jesus.
You don't want to go to the bathroom after Chewbacca's been in there.
yeah.
Yeah, I'm saying that.
I wonder what noise. What noise? Well, it doesn't matter.
What noise?
I was saying, what noise would Chewbacca make when he's going to the bathroom? Because the noise he makes now is similar to the noise we make.
When you go.
Right.
Well, I don't know what the hell Wookiees do when they.
I don't
I'm
wanna-
just saying.
That's a stone that I don't want to turn over.
All right. Well, thank you, Gordon. Thanks everyone for listening. That's about all the time we have for this week's show. Appreciate you guys listening. We really do. If you have at one moment, please go to iTunes, leave us a review. It helps us out tremendously. Sorry I didn't get a chance to read those reviews this week. We'll make sure and get to them next time. If you want to send us an email to read on the show, the email address is maximumpcpodcast@gmail.com. If you want to leave us a voicemail, we will play it on the show if it's good. Leave a message at 1-877-404-1337, extension 1337. You, of course, can subscribe online at iTunes, Kindle, Nook, Zinio, and Google Play for our digital versions. We are still in print. And on behalf of Gordon Ung and Tom McNamara, thanks for listening. Have a great week. We'll see you soon.